San Francisco announcing today it will soften its mask rules starting February 1st. People in stable cohorts like offices and gyms don't have to wear a mask if they're up to date on vaccinations. And Marin County is also lifting restrictions. The county now says students and staff do not have to wear masks outdoors at school, and indoor sporting events will no longer be limited to 50 people. I had a chance to speak with Dr. George Rutherford, an expert on infectious diseases at UCSF. He believes it is okay for cities and counties to slowly ease those mandates. Thanks for joining us, Dr. Rutherford. San Francisco just announced it's easing its indoor mask rule for offices and gyms. Marin County is also easing their restrictions. So my question is this a good sign that we're headed in the right direction? And do you think this is a good time to actually implement these changes?
Yeah, these are relatively minor changes with relatively little risk. It's basically easing mask restrictions the same way we had earlier on for kind of places where we know everybody's up to date on their vaccines, like gyms and offices. So I think it's okay. It's not gonna. I don't see it causing really anything in the way of problems.
Some counties are still very concerned about case rates, hospitalizations being high. So
absolutely.
Can you put that into perspective? Like,
sure.
Where are we now and how cautious do we need to be within those next few
sure.
weeks?
Yeah, absolutely. So the curve is very symmetrical. So just because we're past the peak doesn't mean they're not half the cases are in front of us and half the cases are behind us. That's what the peak means. So we have a lot of disease still to come, and the virus is just as transmissible now as it was 2 weeks ago. So yeah, this is a time to be very careful. Hospitalizations lag a week, 10 days beyond case reports, beyond the reporting of disease. So we may not be at the peak of hospitalizations yet. And I think the counties are it's very prudent to be cautious at this point in time.
Let's talk about that transition from pandemic to endemic. Life won't be completely back to normal, but can you talk about what you see the future looking like, more vaccinated, future actually looking like?
Sure. So we'll have vaccination requirements probably for schools. I mean, the state's already said we're going to have that. We're going to have, the large majority of adults vaccinated in the state. That's all good. We'll continue to see surges of this virus and other respiratory viruses every winter. So if you're at a children's hospital, for instance, you always stock up staff and capacity during the winter because there's always a surge in the winter of respiratory viruses. And this is going to be a new respiratory virus that will surge along with influenza and respiratory syncytial virus and a few other things every winter. But if we're able to move to an endemic state where you have sort of low constant levels of infection without big peaks and spikes and complex new variants arising, then I think we're gonna, it's gonna be okay.